Hello, wonderful people. Welcome to my channel. My name is Adam, and thanks for stopping by for my latest short story video. This story is called A Nibble For Your Thoughts. It is an older short that I wrote a couple of years ago. If you enjoy it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Now sit back and relax, and I'll begin. A Nibble For Your Thoughts. A small fire crackled as a clouded gray cat lay curled on a rug in front of the fireplace. The cat's name was Leo, or rather, that was the name his human had decided to call him. It was a strange name to him, but that was what humans were like. They always did such strange things. The windows outside rattled as a light snowstorm raged. Leo yawned lazily. He had to give the humans some credit, though. They had, after all, found a way to keep the weather outside, though that was pretty much the only thing that they had accomplished. Leo looked up at his human as she sat in a chair while she read a book. They sure were frivolous creatures. Humans insisted on wasting their time and energy on things that did no one any good. Leo never understood why his human would always sit in a chair and stare at a stack of paper for hours on end. There were far more important things around, but humans never seemed to notice. Leo sighed internally. Maybe his human just needed some encouragement to churn away from the paper. If that was the case, then he could help her understand. Leo lazily stood up and sauntered over to the chair. With little effort, he jumped up onto his human's lap. Then he crawled in between her and the book. She looked slightly annoyed at first until she said, "Leo, do you want to read the book with me too? It's a really riveting story, so I can't blame you." Then she went back to reading the book while she scratched behind his ears. It seemed that his human was still hypnotized by the book. Leo was slightly frustrated by this for a second until he remembered that humans were very weak-minded. It would take a lot more to break her away from the book. Leo decided to wait and see where things were going to go before he gave her some more encouragement to leave it alone. For a time, Leo was content to just sit on her lap. He soon grew bored of that, however. It was time to make his human see that she was wasting her time. So he placed his paw on the open page in an attempt to free her. All his human did was remove his paw from the page and keep on reading. Leo was not pleased by this. His human was clearly being controlled by this book. He needed to help her get away from it. Without wasting any time, he placed his paw on the book again. This time, however, he pushed against the book, making it slip from his human's hands. The book fell to the floor, bounced once, and came to a rest about a foot away from the chair. His human looked angry for a second before she sighed. Then she said, "Leo, why do you keep doing this?" She paused to look over at the clock on the wall. "Oh, it's getting kind of late. You must be hungry." She then stood up and gently placed him on the ground. Then she picked up the book and put it back on the arm of the chair. A second later, she looked back at Leo and said, "I guess I'll get you some food ready then." She started to walk towards the kitchen. "Come along, Leo." Leo was annoyed by his human. She didn't understand what he was trying to do. It seemed that she was now trying to pacify him with food. Well, he would take the food, obviously, but he wasn't going to be pacified. He followed her into the kitchen. He watched as his human began to open a can of food and put the contents into a bowl. She placed the bowl in front of him, and then she placed a bowl of water next to that. "Here you go, Leo. Enjoy." Leo attentively smelled the dish. When he had determined that it would be good to eat, he began to nibble on the food. As he ate, he watched as his human wandered about the kitchen doing random things. Humans were weird creatures. They didn't seem to be very capable of surviving on their own. They were always wasting their time and energy on useless things. It was a wonder that they had survived at all. They must be very lucky to have stayed alive as long as they did. Leo just wished that he could teach his human how to survive better. She could really use his wisdom. Too bad she just wouldn't listen to him. A short time later, Leo finished his food, then he drank some water from the other bowl. Once he was satisfied, he looked up at his human. She was now standing in front of the stove. Leo was disappointed in her. It seemed that she still liked wasting her time on doing nothing. His human would need his help if she was going to be better at life. Leo slowly walked over to her, then he rubbed up against her leg to leave his scent on her. At least that way, no other cats could claim her. She looked down at him and smiled. Then she bent down and scratched him on the ears. "You like this, don't you, Leo?" she said. Then she stood up again and got back to looking at the stove. Leo sighed internally. She still didn't understand. It seemed to be hopeless to teach her anything. This was to be expected, he supposed. Humans were so fixated on their own little worlds to ever pay attention to anything else. The only thing he could do would be to keep trying. But that would have to wait for another day, he decided. Leo slowly walked away from her and went back to the living room. His human could wait a little longer, he decided. It was time to take a nap in front of the fire. Leo curled up on the rug again and began to purr softly. It sure was exhausting to manage his human, though if he didn't do it, he was sure that she would never make it in life. Thanks for sticking around to listen, and if you did, you're truly awesome. Please let me know if you want more and what you think. I will read all of your comments, and also, if you want to help support me, you can find my book, The Spirit-Filled Adventures Spark, on Amazon, and you can also check out my wife's online store at diahits.com. If you use the code INSTA, you can get 10% off your order. The links are in the description below. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day.